Welcome back, Pokemon fans, to the 2016 Pokemon National Championships, where we are ready to go ahead and make a little switcheroo from that exciting TCG match and go ahead and start broadcasting the video game matches. And my name is Dweeha, and joining me on stage is Aaron Cybertron Zhang. Aaron, are you ready?
I am ready. It's been a fierce couple of days of competition for these juniors and seniors competitors, and we're going to be in for a really great show. The finalists of both the juniors and the seniors are phenomenal players that are incredibly accomplished. So, they've been on this big stage before. For a lot of them, though, they're fighting for that first national title.
Right, we cut to a top 32. All players that had 2 or fewer losses in the junior division was able to make it to the top cut. I believe we had about 24 players.
I think it was actually 24 for juniors and seniors.
Right, that is actually a beautiful number for cut.
Yeah, but perfect.
It was a tough field. Looking at the bracket right now that we see, it was actually full of past champions.
A lot.
Aiden McKinney, last year's national champion, he was unfortunately eliminated in the top 8, I believe.
Yep. And you do see the top 8 bracket displayed for you guys currently. Kendall Burke is also a longtime competitor, having made it to the World Championships multiple years. But in the end, it was Corey Connor and Enzo Recchi who made it to the finals.
And of course, Corey Connor is a player that we all recognize from the 2014 stream, where he actually ended up winning the entire thing on the Junior National Championships. And he's still here in the Junior Division, and he's still winning. He's got a lot of accomplishments. And both players, Enzo Recchi as well, also a top-tier player.
Yeah, definitely. I believe Enzo won at least one regional championship this year and got second at 2 others, having played at multiple World Championships before. Corey, of course, is a very familiar face to the top junior competitors, actually getting top 8 at the World Championships last year. He, like you said, is actually a next national champion, so if he wins this one, he will be getting a second national title.
And that's amazing. I mean, not many players can actually say that they're a 2-time national champion, right, Aaron?
Not too many.
Corey, I do talk to him sometimes, and he does talk to me a little bit about his team building process, and he always has some interesting texts on his teams, and I'm interested to see exactly what his interesting texts this year are going to be.
Yeah, I think one of the more exciting things about both of these players is that they actually come from Pokemon families as well. Corey has an older brother, Connor, who is a phenomenal trading card game player, I believe.
Calvin,
sorry.
Calvin Connor,
right.
Who finished top 8 this past weekend in the TCG in the senior division as well, I believe.
Yeah, I know their whole family really supports it, and it's a great way for them to get along. It's really cool because you have one brother who kind of dominates the TCG, and then here's Corey tearing up the VGC. But I know he's hungry for that first World Championship after getting top 8 last year.
And of course, Enzo's older brother is also not an unfamiliar face in the Pokemon community as well. He is Ian McLaughlin, former 2nd place at the World Championships in 2011, I believe.
Yeah, Ian's one of those players that's actually been around for a very long time, having gotten 2nd at the 2011 World Championships and finishing in the top 4 at the 2014 World Championships. Also a regional champion in himself this year. So both of these players come from families that are very skilled in Pokemon.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup between the two, I think. Both players are very skilled, highly skilled. I would actually probably lose to them. I mean, if I play them, I've seen Corey's thought process throughout matches. Enzo, I'm sure, also has a very amazing thought process that goes into each battle and, meticulously plays.
Right, and I think it's super impressive because when you look at the age of the junior division competitors, they're young, but they're able to have made it this far, right? This kind of tournament is not easy, especially mentally on these players, because it's entirely best of 3, and there are 2 days of competition. So these players are able to advance from the first day and win all the way throughout the top cut bracket to finally make it to this final game.
Absolutely, and you see both players right there on the stage. I'm sure they're both excited. Corey, of course, has been there. Enzo is also probably excited to be up there to, kind of bring another championship back to his family even.
Right. I believe Enzo has not, been that far in the national championships. I think having a top cut maybe a while back, but obviously not the same accomplishment as Corey Connor's actual title 2 years ago. So I'm sure Corey's hungry for that chance after not being able to defend his title last year, and it's really cool to see him back on this main stage once again, but he's got a really fierce competitor in Enzo.
I'm excited to see. I cannot wait to go ahead and get started. It looks like we're going to go ahead and take a little bit more time, but again, just to emphasize the team building that goes into both players' teams, that's going to be intense. It's going to play huge into the matchups, and it looks like Corey has a Kyogre on his team with his Xerneas.
Yep.
And then Enzo has, of course, the Primal Groudon and Xerneas core, and it's kind of going to come down to which one's the better primal, right?
Right.
Is it going to be Kyogre or is it going to be Groudon that comes out on top? As we do see Enzo's team right now with the Groudon, the Xerneas, Smeargle, Salamence, Talonflame, and Kangaskhan. And looking at his accomplishments, 10th place at Worlds in 2015, and he got 2nd place at a Florida Regional in 2015 as well. So, not as big of a name as Corey Connor on the other side, but I'm sure Enzo is going to go ahead and put up a great battle regardless.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are actually a couple more accomplishments he had that weren't listed there, but the 10th at Worlds is a big deal too, right? Corey and him were both in that top, and we actually see Corey Connor's kind of trainer and his accomplishments displayed here. A national champion title in 2014, top 32 last year, so he was there in the top cut, but wasn't able to defend his title. But here he is back again, and then regional champions last year and this year. Both of these players having had phenomenal success on the regional, national, and world level.
I'm pretty sure that his accomplishments actually got cut off there. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more. He got top 8 at the World Championships last year, right?
Yeah. And, Enzo was someone who was just outside of that top 8. So, he was obviously very, very close. Probably lost on the tiebreakers resistance last year, given that we didn't cut to an X2 last year. So, both of these players super, super hungry. Corey's ready to get that title back. Enzo's ready to get his first title back. And I think we're going to get right into this one.
Let's give both these players a hand right now. I mean, what a great accomplishment to make it all the way to the finals. As we go into team preview, of course, Corey's team, the Kangaskhan, Thunderous, Smeargle, Talonflame, Xerneas, and the Kyogre versus Enzo team, which we read earlier. Smeargle, Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, Salamence, and Talonflame. Great matchup between the two teams.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of amusing here because we obviously see the Xerneas on both teams, and Enzo's rocking the kind of Big Six team that has dominated right from the season, and he hasn't actually made any changes, keeping Talonflame on over the Bronzong or the Cresselia that we've seen replace it. Corey, on their hand, is actually using a pretty interesting legendary combination in Xerneas and Kyogre. That's not exactly the most common. Kyogre is more oftenly partnered with Rayquaza or Groudon, but here we do see the Xerneas and with the Kyogre, and that's a big deal. Kyogre can protect Xerneas from the fire-type attacks from most notably the Groudon, also the Talonflame, but interesting to note that both players here are rocking a Talonflame.
And it's not the first time that we do see Xerneas and Kyogre kind of make it to the big of a major tournament, right? Back in Collinsville, in St. Louis, back in the Winter Regionals, I actually saw that Kyogre Xerneas team take the Masters Division Championship, as both players now are ready to go. Both players are ready to send out their Pokemon. That was actually a pretty quick team selection right there. I think they have their game plan set.
They do. So let's give these competitors a round of applause as we get into this match. It should be a phenomenal, phenomenal game. I'm really excited to see whether Corey can take the national title back or whether Enzo will get his first title.
And we do see Kangaskhan and Thunderous leads out for Corey. We are ready to go. Enzo going to go ahead and send out his Kangaskhan and Talonflame to combat Corey's leads right now. And oh boy, Kangaskhan is on the field.
Yep. Feels a little bit like VGC 2015 right now. No restricted legendaries making the field, but most of these Pokemon try to set up the remainder of the team to put yourself into a really good position. The Talonflame here, of course, threatens with a Quick Guard on the first turn, which prevents Thunderous's attacks and Kangaskhan's Fake Out.
Yeah, and we do see Kangaskhan now on Corey's side. Mega Evolve not going to want to maybe keep an inner focus if that is its ability before Mega Evolves. And we do see Kangaskhan on Enzo's side also Mega Evolve too. I guess they're just not worried. Maybe they're not considering that the Kangaskhan will target each other down with Fake Outs, or maybe they don't even have inner focus. As we do see Kangaskhan on Enzo's side go for a Fake Out right now, going to target down the Kangaskhan on Corey's side. Kangaskhan on Corey's side not going to be able to move here. And we see Talonflame go straight for the Tailwind, so that means that Kangaskhan wasn't even going to go for that Fake Out in the first place. And now Thunderous is going to get to move, goes for a Thunderbolt, going to go ahead and target down that Talonflame. Huge hit right there, super effective damage, and picks up the KO on Talonflame.
Yeah, that's a big knockout there, but of course, sometimes if you're the Talonflame user, you actually don't mind that very much because it allows you to set up Tailwind and then get a free Pokemon in, and anytime you get a free switch in 3 turns of Tailwind, it's a big, big deal here. But Thunderous is still prevalent because it does have that Thunder Wave pressure, Thunder Wave being one of the best ways to stop Xerneas in this format.
Yeah, and we do see Xerneas come in, and of course the Thunder Wave pressure is there. Thunderous can go ahead and choose which one it's going to go target down with that Thunder Wave and kind of slow it down.
Yeah, definitely. The Fake Out target onto Kangaskhan was interesting, but a good read at the end of the day there because we did not see a potential Fake Out given that Talonflame went for the Tailwind. So that Kangaskhan was most likely going for an attack, perhaps a Power-Up Punch or a Low Kick or even a Return.
And we do see Corey now switch out that Kangaskhan, not liking its position out on the field, and Corey's going to counter with his own Xerneas, going to hit the field, and it's going to go ahead and exert that Fairy Aura, which gives it a really nice boost as Thunderous now content with just Thunder Waving and going to target down Enzo's Xerneas, and that really is what he wanted.
Yep.
Xerneas now might not be able to move, but most importantly, the speed is going to be controlled as Kangaskhan goes for a huge return onto Corey's Thunderous. Going to go ahead and hit and activate the Citrus Berry. Is Thunderous going to be able to survive the second hit right now? Going to be kind of close, but I think Thunderous should be able to hang on. Ooh, barely hangs on. And now Xerneas goes for the Moonblast on Enzo's side. Going to target down these Xerneas on Corey's side.
And that was actually a critical hit there, and
a
gets
special
the special
attack
attack
drop.
drop. That is definitely unfortunate here. Xerneas wants to conserve as much health as possible. If you're Enzo there, you're probably pretty pleased with the turn. Your Xerneas got paralyzed, and as a result, even if you Geomance, you'll still be slower. But you did a lot of damage there. That Xerneas also being at -1 special attack means even if it Geomancies, it will still be slower.
And Thundurus just doing Thunderous things right now. Gonna paralyze the Kangaskhan on Enzo's side. Gonna slow it down a little bit as Kangaskhan does bypass the paralysis, connects on the return onto Xerneas, and picks up the KO with that second hit. Almost hung on there on the first hit, or almost got knocked out on the first hit, but barely hung on. And Xerneas gonna go ahead and go back to the Pokeball as Xerneas on Enzo's side goes for a Dazzling Gleam, gonna connect onto that Thundurus and pick up the KO. So now Corey's down to his last 2 Pokemon.
He is, and he did lose that Xerneas, and it wasn't able to do anything. The other big issue here is that Corey most likely has that Kyogre in the back, and of course Enzo does have the popular Groudon, and of course now Groudon can just switch in and get the Sun up, so Kyogre won't be able to use its water type attacks. However, Corey has set himself a little bit nicer because he has paralyzed the Kangaskhan and the Xerneas, so he does have a lot of offensive pressure. The main issue is that once that Groudon comes in, the water type attacks from Kyogre won't be able to do anything. The other thing, however, is you have to safely maneuver your Groudon in. Because Kangaskhan is faster and we don't know who's faster between Kyogre and Groudon, it's very easy to get double targeted on a switch in and then get knocked out the next turn. So the Kangaskhan right now from Corey's side puts on a lot of pressure. However, Xerneas is still at full health. If it gets a Geomancy off, you'd imagine that it could just start picking up knockouts left and right, or just getting a Moonblast off here. But the water spout pressure here from Kyogre is very imminent. So the question is, do you want to switch in your Groudon to get rid of the potential water type attack, and do you want to take that risk?
And Kangaskhan on Enzo's side now going to switch out. Knock on want to stay in, and Groudon does come in. Going to go ahead and revert the weather back to a more favorable position for the Groudon with the harsh sunlight. So good switch right there from Enzo, but we're going to have to see if Corey decided to do something otherwise. You're right. Kyogre could have just easily gone for an Ice Beam instead.
Exactly, and if that is the case, then you're staring down a Kangaskhan and a Kyogre, and you're allowed to use water type attacks once Groudon goes down. So it's going to be a big turn here. Let's see which the players predict.
And the sunlight does turn extremely harsh as Kangaskhan goes for a double edge right now. Going to go ahead and target down the Xerneas slot, doing a good amount of damage, but Xerneas is pretty bulky, hangs on as Kangaskhan deals some damage back to itself because of the recoil, and now Kyogre goes for the water spout, but unfortunately that's going to fizzle out because of the sunlight, and Xerneas is paralyzed and cannot move, so unfortunately right there for Corey, no unnecessary damage taken on his end of the turn.
Yeah, that's a big full paralysis there. If the Xerneas attacks through, then it just most likely goes for a Moonblast and knocks out Kangaskhan. It is very likely that Enzo just locks up the game right there because now Groudon can't be damaged by the Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan now does put on some more pressure. We see Xerneas go for a Protect, but the full paralysis finally coming in.
Kangaskhan now connecting onto the double edge. Gonna go ahead and target down that Groudon, gonna chip away at it. Huge physical bulk from Groudon as Groudon hangs on with about 30% of his hit points remaining. Kangaskhan almost knocking itself out right there from all the recoil it's taken. Groudon connects with the Precipice Blades, gonna connect onto both Kangaskhan and the Kyogre right now. Gonna knock out that Kangaskhan. Kyogre takes on about 60% of damage right there, but Kyogre does hang on, and Kyogre goes for an Ice Beam, gonna hit that Groudon. Gonna go ahead and pick up that KO easily.
Yeah, Groudon's going to faint here, but now you can switch Kangaskhan back in. However, the Kangaskhan and the Xerneas are full paralyzed. And of course, when you paralyze, you have that 25% chance to not move for that turn. So if Corey gets some lucky paralysis in his way, he can actually still win this one. But we did get some very good information out of that last turn. That Kyogre not looking very bulky, taking over 50% from Precipice Blades. A lot of Kyogres nowadays are trained to survive that. And the Groudon on the other side looked like it was also very speedy and offensive.
As we see Kyogre protect itself, not going to want to have anything happen. Kangaskhan is paralyzed. That might have been an opening right there for Corey.
Oh!
And the Xerneas is paralyzed, and oh boy, Corey, that was an opening right there, but of course you can't predict that.
You can't. It's so hard to predict the full paralysis, but Corey actually needs all the full paralysis he get, and he just lost a big turn there, and the Sucker Punch does connect.
Goes for the Sucker Punch onto that Kyogre. Gonna do a good amount of damage. Kyogre hangs on with a sliver of hit points. Kyogre connects onto the Origin Pulse. Xerneas avoids the attack. Oh, that might be it. We see the Origin Pulse connect onto that Kangaskhan, gonna do about 40% right there as Xerneas does bypass the paralysis and goes for the Moonblast as Enzo Recchi takes game 1 here at the junior finals of the 2016 Pokemon Video Game Championships.
I thought Enzo honestly managed that really well. He kind of baited the attack onto Talonflame that turn 1, and he was willing to risk the fake out onto Kangaskhan. Once that Tailwind went up, it allowed him to get a free switch, and then Corey, of course, did have the Thunder Wave paralysis to spread around, but Enzo was able to get so much damage off that one big turn where he was able to return the Thundurus and Moonblast the Xerneas, and he was able to eliminate Xerneas before he could even do anything.
A lot of information was also revealed there.
Absolutely.
Now we know that Corey's Kyogre has both Origin Pulse and Water Spout.
Yep.
The Groudon move first on Enzo's side.
Could still be a speed
Corey's-
tie there.
Could be a speed tie, right? You're right. It is bulky Kyogre, or not so bulky Kyogre.
Right. And, it seems like these trainers are just opting for very, very offensive, fast-paced teams, which we all honestly saw, earlier on in the metagame, but obviously players have reverted more towards those defensive builds. But these players sticking with what they're comfortable with, and we're actually just going to get right into this game, too.
Another quick team selection. Another thing to note, Enzo noticed right there, or hopefully he noticed that Corey's Kangaskhan wasn't going for the fake out that turn. Maybe Corey's Kangaskhan was going straight for the offensive right there.
Right.
So he might have to be a bit careful about that.
And so we're going to get into this one. Enzo Recchi is one game away from becoming your 2016 national champion in the juniors division. Corey is going to have to win the next 2 straight to get his title back from 2014.
And we do see the Xerneas and Kangaskhan leads out for Corey, as we see Xerneas and Smeargle leads out for Enzo. Very popular leads coming from both players right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of mind games anytime you have Smeargle against Kangaskhan, because Kangaskhan obviously can immediately eliminate it with the double edge, but Smeargle, if you don't target it, can actually get a Dark Void off. So now it's, do you predict the Smeargle to Specky Shield / King Shield, or do you expect it to just go for a Dark Void?
And we see Kangaskhan Mega Evolve going to get that Parental Bond ability, which might be able to allow it to bypass the Focus Sash onto Enzo's Smeargle, but we see the fake out onto the Xerneas instead, going to make sure that Xerneas cannot move this turn. This is dangerous because Smeargle's going to be left alone.
Yep.
Xerneas flinches, cannot move. Smeargle
it's
goes for the Dark
faster,
Void.
too.
Goes before that, Xerneas, and picks up the Dark Void. Going to go ahead and put some Pokemon on Corey's side to sleep. Kangaskhan falls asleep. Does Xerneas avoid, or does he also fall asleep?
It's going to hit there.
And yep, there it is, the connection. That's unfortunate for Corey right there.
Absolutely. That Xerneas does take a first turn of sleep, but if I'm Enzo, I'm pretty pleased about that turn. I made the risk of just going for the Dark Void with Smeargle, and Kangaskhan didn't go for a double edge or a fighting type attack. And we actually see the defense increase, what actually could play a big deal as well if Kangaskhan wakes up, but this is really good for Enzo. We also saw that the Xerneas on his side is faster, so it's going to be able to get that Geomancy off. Even if Xerneas wakes up on Corey's side, Enzo might actually be able to put it back to sleep the turn after, especially if it's carrying Focus Sash. And the biggest deal here is that Kangaskhan has to take its first turn of sleep, so it's rendered useless.
And Smeargle now content with going for the Follow Me. Gonna try to draw away any single target attacks that might happen. Kangaskhan does take its first turn of sleep here. Xerneas on Corey's side might be able to wake up, as Xerneas on Enzo's side sets up the Geomancy. Huge Geomancy right here. A great opportunity to go ahead and set up. So we'll have to see exactly how the rest of this turn plays out. Is Xerneas going to be able to wake up and possibly set itself up, as Xerneas now gets its 2 stages of increased special attack, 2 stages of increased special defense, and 2 stages of increased speed, as we do...
Oh, but it wakes up.
Goes for a Geomancy of his own, and now Corey is kind of back in it with the setup Geomancy right there, setup Xerneas.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. We've got Xerneas versus Xerneas, both at +2 in all the respective stats you just listed. If, Corey doesn't wake up there, then that's a big deal, because you could actually just Moonblast maybe to pick up that knockout that next turn. But now, Enzo does have to face another Xerneas, and anytime Xerneas gets that Geomancy boost, it's such a big deal.
And we see Smeargle's evasiveness rising sharply.
Here we go.
Smeargle's speed does drop, but unfortunately the damage has been done with that Moody boost right there in evasion. You hate to see that. Now, every time Enzo goes for a Follow Me, it could miss.
Right, I mean, if you're Enzo here, you could also just go for the Moonblast onto a Kangaskhan to knock it out, and maybe go for a Dark Void onto Smeargle. A Kangaskhan could wake up here.
And Xerneas protects itself here on Corey's side, not going to want to risk getting unnecessary damage done to it. As Xerneas goes for the Moonblast, going to connect onto that Kangaskhan. Huge damage coming towards Kangaskhan's way, and it does pick up the one-hit KO right there. And Enzo, just 3 more Pokemon to knock out, and he becomes the national champion, as another accuracy...
Oh my goodness.
Accuracy increases, special attack drop doesn't matter too much right there.
Yeah, so it's actually basically a +1 accuracy since it originally dropped an accuracy boost. I thought the Follow Me play there was a little bit interesting. I can understand, maybe trying to redirect a potential Moonblast from Xerneas, because if you're Enzo, your Xerneas is your win condition, and you know that you can sweep with it right now pretty effectively. Of course, if the Smeargle does have that Focus Sash, you can go for a Dark Void, but we actually see Talonflame, which is a pretty good answer to Xerneas in the sense that it can get a fast Brave Bird off, even if Xerneas gets the boost. However, we know that the Smeargle has Follow Me, and it has the evasion increases.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it's able to bypass those evasion checks, right? Talonflame, of course, can easily hit that Smeargle, but Smeargle's known to carry Focus Sash. You had to hit it twice.
Exactly, and a Xerneas Moonblast from Enzo after that Life Orb recoil, or excuse me, the Brave Bird recoil, most likely will knock out the Talonflame.
And Smeargle does go ahead and go for another Follow Me. Going to redirect all the attacks. Smeargle putting the team on Enzo's back. Oh, an avoid right there from Enzo's Smeargle, as Xerneas with the Moonblast onto Corey's Talonflame.
Wow, and it still
KO.
picks up the knockout there.
Talonflame is so fragile, as Xerneas on Corey's side goes for Talonflame. Smeargle avoids the attack. It does connect onto that Xerneas, but the important thing is that Smeargle's Focus Sash is still intact. Moody again, accuracy rising. and we do see the evasiveness dropping, but it's still at one stage of increased evasiveness.
It's at +1 evasion, +3 accuracy at this point, so it can get a Dark Void off. We do see the Kyogre come in, but this is going to be a really, really difficult one if for Corey to try to force a Game 3. I don't think Enzo honestly needed any of the luck that's happened in this game because he played that first turn really well. He was able to get the Xerneas boost and get that Dark Void off, basically baiting Corey to target the Xerneas. Because, why would you not protect your Smeargle against the Kangaskhan? But that's why there's always so many mind games, and it's so hard to make the right prediction, but Enzo got the better end of it. Now the Xerneas, of course, has taken some damage, but there is still Groudon in the back, so you can shut down the water type attacks.
Smeargle now going to switch out, probably going to go to Groudon to reset the weather, and we do see Groudon switch in. And one issue that I've always noticed about, Kyogre versus Groudon in terms of the Xerneas pairs is just that once Xerneas sets up with the Geomancy, Kyogre can barely touch it.
Yeah, exactly. Kyogre can at most use Ice Beams. I mean, it has the water type attacks, but that's why the Groudon Xerneas core works so well, because you protect your Xerneas from the water type attacks. So this Kyogre is looking really good. It can't even be frozen with the sunlight being out as well.
And even then, the Geomancy allows it to have, 2 stages of increased special defense. As Xerneas now goes for the Moonblast,
No
gonna
protect
connect
on
onto the
Kyogre.
Xerneas. So the Xerneas doing the Moonblast, doing about 40% right there. Xerneas on Corey's side goes for the Dazzling Gleam. Gonna go ahead and pick up the...
Oh, so close.
Not-
The Ice Beam.
Not enough, as Kyogre does predict the switch and goes for the Ice Beam on that Groudon. Oh my, is it? No, barely. Xerneas hangs on, and so does Groudon hanging on as well.
That was a really, really clutch turn. I mean, the Xerneas was able to hang on. We actually didn't see the Moonblast target onto Kyogre. This game's going so fast. These players know what they want to do.
Groudon protecting himself, not wanting to get knocked out just yet. Kyogre on Corey's side protecting himself, not wanting to get knocked out just yet. Xerneas now going to be able to move. Xerneas on Enzo's side goes for the Moonblast.
Is it going to knock it out? Hung on with just over 50%. Here we go.
Oh!
It picks up the knockout.
Huge KO right there from Enzo's side. And now it's just going to be Kyogre left remaining in the sunlight, not exactly where Corey wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, this was a 4-0, but I think it was actually so close at the end there, because if you're Corey and you manage to knock out that Xerneas, then your Groudon is still, now suddenly your Xerneas is such a big threat, but we are going to see the Moonblast connect. The Ice Beam is going to come out, but that's not enough. Enzo here is going to lock up the game here. Kyogre does not have enough offensive pressure against the rest of the team.
And the Precipice Blades, avoids the attack. Kyogre did move first there, but there's still 2 more Pokemon left in the back for Enzo. Kangaskhan comes out, and that should seal the deal. Just going to have to go ahead and continue pressing buttons until that Kyogre gets knocked out. But Kangaskhan and Groudon, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean,
oh boy.
Corey had the opportunity to knock out the Xerneas with the Moonblast Ice Beam double target, but he didn't go for it, and instead Xerneas was able to hang on. Very, very clutch, just with 11 HP, and that meant that Enzo could lock up the game.
And Kangaskhan now Mega Evolves right here. Kangaskhan goes for the Fake Out. That should pick up the KO. And Enzo Recchi is your 2016 Pokemon video game national champion in the junior division. Congratulations, Enzo. Well played from both players right there. Corey is an exceptionally well player. Enzo, you came out on top today.
Yeah, I mean, really, really great finals there. I thought Enzo demonstrated some really smart play and adjustments bringing that Smeargle in the second game. But these are both 2 phenomenal competitors, and you'll be seeing them at day 2 of the World Championships this year in San Francisco. And, these are honestly probably 2 favorites to win that competition. Both have come so close to, with Corey being in that top 8 last year and Enzo just falling outside of the top 8. So these are 2 names you definitely want to keep your eye on. Corey had his national championship 2 years ago. Enzo now finally gets his first one.
Absolutely. This isn't it. This is just the national championships.
Yep.
What ultimately every player wants is to win that world championship. They're one step closer. They've secured their day 2 invites by finishing so strongly here today, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're Corey, you're probably a little bit bummed out. You wanted to win nationals again. Enzo does take home $5,000. I believe Corey takes home $2,500, but still a really, really impressive showing by both of these juniors. They showed, how they made it this far, their team construction, and I thought Enzo just made some very, very smart plays.
Right, and again, talking about it, the cores of those teams.
Yep.
Xerneas Groudon versus Xerneas Kyogre. Again, Xerneas can deal so well with Kyogre simply because of the Geomancy boost that it gets, right?
Yeah.
2 stages of increased special defense. That's going to allow it to be able to tank most of Kyogre's attacks. But then Groudon, on the other hand, actually is able to hit on the physical spectrum.
Yep. And we've seen how, using the bulkier Xerneas builds that we've seen more commonly, especially in the Masters division, can sometimes come to bite you. Enzo was able to have a faster Xerneas, so he was able to get a quick Geomancy, and he supported it so well with that Smeargle Dark Void. That turn 1, honestly, helped Enzo out so much. A lot of the top players who are using Xerneas in this metagame, it really comes down to how well can I protect my Xerneas and how well do I support it, because if you're letting your Xerneas get paralyzed or knocked out before it can actually get a Geomancy off, it's really difficult. But Enzo was able to protect it, and of course the Moody boost with the evasions just made it that much more difficult for Corey. But that's why, typically you want to eliminate Smeargle right from the start. If you're Corey, you did have that opportunity by double edging or returning on that first turn against the Smeargle, but that's not so easy, right? Because Smeargle, if it does have Spiky Shield or King Shield, can really hurt you.
I mean, let's not forget about game 1, turn 1. Talonflame gets knocked out right away.
Yep.
And then from there, it set up a Tailwind. That's all Talonflame did game 1 for Enzo's side, right?
Right.
And then, going into turn 2, his Xerneas got paralyzed, and then in turn 3, his Kangaskhan got paralyzed. That's pretty downer, right? Like,
it is, yeah. It looked honestly a little bit bad, but you can win through paralysis if you're just getting this much damage off. Thunderous, of course, takes the turn to Thunder Wave, but then it doesn't get a chance to attack that turn. And if you switch out, then you can capitalize off that as well. And Kangaskhan and Xerneas, being such offensive juggernauts, have the ability to just pick up knockouts or do so much damage, as we saw. That return onto Thunderous, the Moonblast. And if you are Enzo, you actually like that you don't pick up the knockouts there, because then you could potentially pick up 2 knockouts at the same time. That's what we saw.
And of course, all the defensive switching that Enzo had in his pocket, simply because, Kyogre was the last Pokemon to hit the field.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and activate the Rain, but then Groudon came in to kind of win that weather battle that's so important between these 2 matchups between the 2 primals.
That's a big deal, winning the weather war there, because Kyogre obviously has a nice matchup against Groudon if the rain is up, but if the sun is up, it can only use Ice Beam. Groudon, on the other hand, even if rain is up, you can use Precipice Blades, but you obviously never wanted to get into that opportunity. And Enzo managed that really well, because he was able to get the Groudon in after the Kyogre had come in every time. He had won the weather war basically effectively, because he was able to stop the rain from ever being up again. In those kind of situations, you want the Kyogre to switch out and then switch back in, but every time Enzo was able to just eliminate all the Pokemon and leave the Kyogre standing, so there wasn't any potential to switch out.
Well played from Enzo. And guys, are you guys ready to see Enzo pick up his trophy? We are. Go ahead, take it to the stage for the trophy award ceremony.
Welcome, everyone. I'm here with our top 2 placers for this tournament. I am here with Corey and Enzo. Congratulations, Corey. Is there anything you want to say? No. And Enzo, how do you feel about this match? How do you feel today?
I am really surprised, because this is my first national I've done this well. And I'm just proud of my brother. He made my team. Even though he didn't teach me my types or anything, I learned them myself. He made my team. And I don't know how to make my own team, so I give thanks to him.
Well, congratulations to the both of you. An amazing showing from both players.
Congratulations. Enzo, you are the national champion. Congratulations, buddy.